Hey, it's Deborah Poneman, founder of Yes to Success, where we provide tools and knowledge for you to live your ultimate life, ageless, anti-aging for your brain, your body, and your future, and the awake method, because it's time for all of us to wake up. Since we've been on a kind of health kick for the last few weeks, and I already shared that the worst offender for our physical health, brain inflammation, brain fog, memory loss, precursor to Alzheimer's and dementia, is white refined sugar and the carbohydrates that turn into sugars in our bodies, like white bread and white pasta, and even potatoes and more. But there are other things that adversely affect our health in major ways. And those are toxins that get into our bodies and affect our health by breathing, by contact with your skin or your eyes. And they've also been linked to birth defects and childhood chronic illnesses and brain fog and depression and Alzheimer's. Usually, when we think about chemical poisoning, we usually think about ingestion. Ingestion happens when you turn around for a second and your child sees that gooey white liquid in your dishwasher cup and puts her finger in it and licks it. In fact, I actually know a family where that happened with dishwashing powder, and the child had to have 14 surgeries to repair her burned and damaged esophagus. And it's not just cleaning products, it's also personal care products like shampoos and body lotion and mouthwash. In fact, a House subcommittee as far back as 1989 asked the National Institute of Occupational Safety and Health to analyze 3,000 chemicals that were in our personal care products that we use every day. And I'm going to read you their findings. It said when they analyzed these 3,000 chemicals, over one third, which is over 1,000, were found to be toxic, including 778 causing acute toxicity, 146 causing tumors, 218 causing reproductive complications, and 314 causing biological mutations. Now, you might think, well, that was 1989. It must have gotten much safer since then. Unfortunately, no. Since that time, thousands more chemicals have been added to consumer products with little or no government oversight due to a decades-old law which allows manufacturers to use their own studies to inform the public whether these products are toxic or not. And a frightening number of chemicals are now in our cosmetics and our clothing and our furniture and our cleaning products, as I mentioned, construction materials, and they have not been tested independently by the FDA. In fact, the FDA might not even have knowledge of their existence. There was a study done in 2003 at the Mount Sinai School of Medicine, and it found an average of 91 industrial compounds in the bodies of volunteers. And again, just everyday people like you and me, and another 167 chemicals, 76 of which were known to cause cancer, 96 were toxic to the brain and nervous system and were linked to autoimmune diseases, and 79 were known to cause birth defects or abnormal development. And again, the people tested were simply exposed to these chemicals in their daily lives. They didn't work in any kind of industrial setting. We're talking about laundry detergent, commercial laundry detergent, general cleaner, glass cleaner, like Tide and Bold and Bleach and Bounce and Downy and 409. And according to the EPA, most homes have airborne concentrations of hazardous chemicals that are 2 to 5 times higher indoors than outdoors, even in a polluted city on a high warning day. Even in cities that have ratings that are like in the orange zone or the red zone on the pollution scale. One reason for it is that we tend to keep our windows closed because of heat in the winter and air conditioning in the summer. In fact, in one 15-year study, women who worked at home had a 54% higher death rate from cancer than women who worked outside the home. And household cleaners can release toxic fumes even in Their packages. I mean, walk down the cleaning aisle at the grocery store and you will directly experience the smell of toxic chemicals, even though the packages are completely tightly closed. It's called outgassing. Personally, I've always had what's known as multiple chemical sensitivity. So I'm like the canary in the coal mine. I can't even walk down those aisles in the grocery store. And if you're not convinced that you want to get the Tide and Bold and Bleach and Downy and 409 out because you care about yourself and your kids and your grandkids and your pets, the California Department of Fish, Game, and Wildlife tested the toxicity of their waterways, and the most toxic substances to aquatic life, not paint, not car oil, not car wax, household cleaning products, including bleach, all-purpose cleaner, laundry detergent, and dishwashing detergent. So, do you care about our fish and other wildlife and the health of our lakes, rivers, and streams? Well, if you really do, I'd like to gently offer to stop contributing to their deaths and use only biodegradable products. It's a simple fix. You can just go to Whole Foods or get Seventh Generation or Ecover or Earthright, even regular stores. I don't know. We have Jewel in Chicago or Vaughn's in California. If you want to save tons of money and have great products delivered to your door, there are wonderful home-based companies like Melaleuca or Shackley. I've had nothing in my home but Melaleuca products for almost 35 years. Wow. Since I first heard about the effects toxins had on children and pets, and I had little children and pets at the time. Actually, I'll tell you a quick story. We had a little Boston Terrier. His name was actually Little Boy, long story. And we had just moved into a new house, and we had hired a commercial carpet cleaning company to clean our rugs in our new house. And excuse me, I'm choking just thinking about it. Anyway, so we have the carpets shampooed, and I had just been introduced to these Melaleuca products. Anyway, the carpet cleaners left, and that our little Boston Terrier, scampered into the living room where he usually did, started rolling around on the carpet. And when he tried to stand up, he couldn't. His legs collapsed underneath him, and he started breathing, like hyperventilating. And I screamed to my husband, "There's something wrong with little boy." He said, "Pick him up." So I picked him up and I brought him outside, and within a few minutes he was fine again. And then we turned our heads for a few minutes and he scampered back into the living room. And as soon as he started breathing in the chemicals from the rug cleaner, he again collapsed and started having a really hard time breathing. So we actually had to go out and rent a machine and shampoo the shampoo out of the rug. So we shampooed it with these Melaleuca products, which we had just been turned on to get the commercial cleaning fluid out of our rugs. So never again. And my actual little boy was crawling at the time. Actually, no, that was my little girl who was crawling at the time. So wherever you get your products from, oh, and candles too. Most good smelling candles use synthetic fragrances and dyes that give off dangerous, it's called VOCs, VOCs, even when they're not burning. Just sitting at room temperature, they emit toxic toxic carcinogens. I guess all carcinogens are toxic, but things like alkenes and acetone and benzene and toluene, all of these chemicals, they're found in diesel fuel emissions and are known to cause allergies and asthma and other problems like headaches and dizziness and respiratory tract infections and even cancers. When I go into a home where people, remember, I'm the canary in the coal mine, when I walk into the homes of people who have those kinds of candles, I have to really gently say to them, "Do you mind putting those in another room?" Or those plugins, don't get me going on plugins, or even those little things that look like pine trees. If I get into a cab or an Uber, I have to say, "Do you mind taking down the pine tree?" Anyway, So please detox your home, especially if you have little ones or pets or a compromised immune system. Maybe that's why you have a compromised immune system. Also, speaking of children, you don't want to put your children or grandchildren or yourself into commercial bubble bath, which has been linked to bladder and kidney infections in children. Oh, and you don't want to use things like mouthwash because almost every commercial mouthwash has formaldehyde, known by numerous other names. So it won't say formaldehyde because the manufacturers are hip to the fact that we know if it says formaldehyde, we don't buy it because it's a known cancer causing agent. But Scope, Listerine, they all have formaldehyde. And I mean, you're swishing it around your most absorbable membrane, which is your tongue. So also, many dandruff shampoos are linked to central nervous system disorders, for example, head and shoulders. And if you don't believe household or commercial cleaners affect our kids, there was a study done when a group of moms who were outraged at the chemicals that were being used to clean and disinfect their children's classrooms, they actually financed researchers to come in and demonstrate the effect the chemicals had on the children. So how the research worked is that the children, it was a first grade classroom. They were asked to write their names, and they wrote their names very neatly and nicely in between the lines. And then they cleaned and disinfected the classroom with the commercial disinfectant, like it's something akin to Lysol. And then a few minutes later, they asked the kids to write their names again. And the letters were all over the place. They were backwards, they were outside the lines. And then at the peak of the disinfecting, they asked the kids to write their names again, and they started crying, they refused, they were whining, and they were just like out of their bodies. And then they took the kids into another room where the air was clean, and they stopped whining, and they went back to writing their names perfectly. They had to detox for a little while. So again, you can go to Whole Foods, Sprouts, Jimbo's, your local natural food store, and buy safe products, or else buy them from a home-based business, which usually costs less. And I know this isn't the most uplifting news on the planet, but I love you. And why not use safe products that don't cause ill health or brain fog or premature aging or damage to our kids' central nervous systems when they're available? And next week, I will return to my more spiritual offerings, but maybe next month we'll have a discussion about something else that is affecting your well being, and that is exposure to EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, and to 5G. So next month we'll have more fun and games with Deborah. But until then, or until next week, get those toxins out. And I send you my love and best wishes for your vibrant, radiant health. Bye for now.